Hi, coaches. Pascal Villani here from Elite Goalies Canada, and I just wanted to say it's an honor to be a part of a group of coaches that are just tremendous. And I grew up throughout my coaching career after playing, admiring many of you in here, and have had the opportunity to work side by side with some of you, and some of them I have brief interactions with who it just stayed with me forever. So it's a real blessing to be a part of it. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about goaltending communication between the coaches as well as the goaltender, goaltending coach, etc. So the first thing I really wanted to talk to you guys about is the first thing that breaks down with any relationship is communication. So it's incredibly important to have those lines of communication open. And I believe that, when you have that first meeting with a goaltender and his partner, it's important to understand, or her partner, it's important to understand what the ground rules are. Ultimately, you are the coach, so you are going to be left with making some of the tough decisions. But allowing the goaltenders to hear that and be a part of that program and that choice is incredibly important. And that obviously alleviates some of the drama on the team that will ultimately affect your performances against the opposing teams and winning championships, which is what we're all about, creating great experiences, a positive work environment, and then winning a championship. And that happens all together. So the first things first is, what do you want in the end? I always like to reverse engineer things. So the first thing that needs to happen is understand that you want great goaltending. You want intelligent goaltenders. You want guys and gals when they're called upon. You want to be able to make sure that they're going to play really well. And that only happens when we are making sure that everybody is firing on all cylinders. And the first things first is the fact that you want to talk to them about the game plan. You want to talk to them about what their developmental model is going to look like over the course of the season. And that developmental model needs to match what you want as a coach. What's your defensive system going to look like? What's your offensive system going to look like as soon as the puck turns over in your end? And how do you want the goaltender to play a role in that? And that becomes critical. And that starts with the communication plan between the defensemen and the goaltenders and the forwards and the goaltenders. And that usually brings the goaltending coach and the defensive coach together. And that brings the goaltending coach, the defensive coach, as well as the head coach together. And when we can bring that together, we talk about very simple keys. What kind of communication? They got to be short, they got to be sweet, they got to make sure that they understand that everybody's on the same page of who's making the call. When that happens, I like to use the term rodeo. We all ride the bull for 8 seconds. And if we can ride that zone and put immense pressure on the opposition for 8 seconds, then we can get that puck out of the zone a little bit more of a seamless pattern. If we can do that in under 8 seconds, then we have the ability to really lower our goals against and really limit the opportunity for players to set up in our own zone. So the second thing is that we want to make sure that that the goaltenders know who's going to play and how those decisions are made. And if you're upfront and open with what it's going to look like, what games are earmarked, and then weekly just checking in, because things happen, things change. You might have a plan in place, but it's not always going to be perfect. Being upfront and open about that is key and critical, and why you're making those decisions. What the goaltenders need to improve upon, what they need to be doing in practice to make sure that they're attracting you to saying, hey, I want that goaltender in the net for my particular game against so and so. Everybody loves to have and wants to have the gold medal game. I don't think anything is better explained than the newly inducted Hockey Hall of Famer Kim St. Pierre, when she said she wanted as a goaltender, she wanted as a backup, and she wanted from the stands. And I think it's really important to understand that you're a piece of a beautiful team, and you play a massive role. I don't like to say you're the starter and you're the capable starter or the backup, because one shot against the goaltender can change everything, whether it's a bad goal, whether it's an injury, whether it's a sickness or illness. And that's happened to me in my career, my coaching career, for sure. We, won the championship, went all the way to the national championship. I never saw our starting goaltender again until we were on the plane leaving back. So you've got to make sure that you are balancing the starter and capable starter position as much as you possibly can, because that is such key critical information all the time. So when we're doing that, it's really important for us to be focusing in on letting the goaltenders know who's going to be starting, and the other goaltender immediately needs to switch into capable starter mode. So showing up with a good face, smiling, cheering on the teammates as they're going on, being intense, watching the game, being the second set of eyes for the goaltender that's playing the game. If you're tapped with the start, then you're going to be ready, doing all the things that you need to do routine wise. And then the starting goaltender, which is now the capable starter, is now going to switch roles and do the exact same thing. We don't want pouty faces on the bench. We don't want, sad eyes looking up at the coach. We want a group of players that really want to play, and knowing what those roles are and what's expected of them certainly helps moving forward. The next key that we really want to focus on is the fact that those intelligent goaltenders need to be there, and they need to be the hardest working goaltenders on the ice. So let's start off with the hardest working goaltenders. If we're out playing the game and we're practicing with all of our teammates and we're not giving our very best against the teammates that we're playing against, what ends up happening is that we give our forwards and defense false hope, meaning they're going to go in thinking they're confident that they can score because they're playing against a goaltender that's maybe 75% compete level. And then when you go into a game, you're going to be up against a goaltender that could be 92, 93, 95% compete level. So you're going to run into scoring problems. Make sure that as a goaltender, the expectation is that you're working hard and you're honoring every single shot from every single player. And if you give them the opportunity to have a post-save recovery and get ready for the second shot, which is the rebound, then even better. So that's number one. Number two, you need intelligent goaltenders. So you need goaltenders to be involved in all of your meetings for power play, penalty kill, defensive structural meetings, because the goaltender needs to see what potential breakdowns that you're going to be up against. What's going to break down in your zone, and where do you need to step in and play that role? Thirdly, you need to have a game plan. So not only are you developing goaltenders, but you're also giving them a game plan that's going to fit into the system that the head coach wants to execute. I mean, with the goaltenders that I've worked with, I always want them to play into the coach's frame of mind. So if it's about controlling pucks and getting pucks easily to the defenseman for a nice, easy breakout, the coach feels calm. The coach feels confident. They know that their system that they've actually drawn up on the board is coming to life, and that goaltender is allowing that to come to life. A coach on the bench or a coach on the ice watching this happen, if they see pucks coming out and the practice is breaking down and it's not as smooth, and I mean, the coach is going to be less likely, in my opinion, to choose that goaltender because something is amiss. Maybe they won't put their finger on it right away, but the something that's amiss is the goaltender that's at the end result that's causing a lot of the disruption in the flow of play. So we want to make sure that they're in that frame of mind. Thirdly, the developmental plan for goaltenders starts right away in September. It starts off with, hey, the expectation is that you're going to be playing, 100% of the game. And forwards and defensemen, the best players, are going to play about 25% of the game, maybe 30% of the game, but they still don't equate up to what you do. Goaltenders are 50% responsible for the win. And if you don't have 50% of that win reliability on your goaltenders, then you've all heard the saying, 50% of your goaltender is the win of the game, or 50% of the goaltender could be 100% of your loss. So you need to make sure that you're focusing in on making sure that goaltending is key critical on what you're doing. So I guess the best way to say it is, your success of 50% of your team is the goaltender until you don't have one. And then it ends up being 100% of a goaltender. So really be important, really focus in on that time. The next meeting you need to have is play time versus pull time, and recognizing, setting a standard of what the expectation is, and how many goaltenders are, how many goals, are going to be, the requirement or the reason why you pulled a goaltender. And there's never a discussion on the bench or in between periods or during the game. You immediately switch to capable starter, and you put a smile on your face. You work hard, you become the second set of eyes for your goaltender. And you work hard no matter what your role is after that. But it's incredibly important to recognize and have that conversation and bring that up, those uncomfortable conversations, saying, hey, listen, if we're going to get 3 goals in a period, we're going to make a change, because we also have to give the opportunity to the forwards and defensemen to be able to build a catch-up plan, to build a thrust moving forward to try to, save the game and give our team a chance to win. It's nothing personal. It's just the fact that night, it just didn't work for you. So we need to move on, and we need to pull, and we need to change. We need to all be mature about this moving forward. So the role is also very important, and I alluded to that. talking about the roles of the starting goaltender and capable starter, they need to be interchangeable, meaning that when the starter is now sitting on the bench, it's not a vacation. You don't unplug from the game. You are now taking on backup duties, and those backup duties are being that second set of eyes, maybe taking statistics, being engaged with the head coach if he needs to know who's winning faceoffs or losing faceoffs, or what type of situations you're being scored on. Is it on the rush? Is it east-west passes? Is it north-south passes? Is it a screenshot? Is it tips and deflections? Or what are we doing that's exposing opportunities to the opposition? So we need to actually assign responsibilities and keep an open mind frame with the goaltenders, open line of communication, letting them know when you're going to be making those decisions, and also letting them know when you're not going to make those decisions. Maybe you won't feel comfortable that morning with one goaltender starting, so you immediately want to switch to another goaltender. That's a gut feel. And you've got to be able to say that to the goaltender, and the goaltender's got to be mature enough to accept it. There's a reason why. He will tell me the reason why on the first practice back, and we'll discuss it, but we're not going to discuss it on game day. And we've got to be mature. We've got to put on our face, and we've got to make sure that we're focusing in on what's best for the team, not so much what's best for the individual, because we are in this together. So those are some real pieces of information that I wanted to share with you. And when you have that laid out, when you have your communication plan open, it's for the best of the goaltender, and it's a balance between what's best for the goaltender and what's best for the team, because ultimately the coach's role is to put the team in the position to win, and to put the players in the position to win, and to give them experiences on both sides of the coin, the playing experience and the experience maybe from the bench, because eventually your time will come. And as coaches, that's our job: create a safe, comfortable, an open environment to succeed and play our very, very best. If we as goaltenders don't play our best, then it's expected that we're going to replace that goaltender that's maybe struggling for the moment, or maybe the team is not woken up. And we need to give that opportunity to the other goaltender to be able to put a shock to the system, shock to the team, and change the approach that the opposition will take on us. So hopefully this helps, guys. And if there's any questions, I'm definitely fill my email box with questions, and I'll be more than happy to put together another program like this to help us navigate through this and create unbelievable experiences for goaltenders. Take care, guys.